So for this video, I'm going to have to give a bit of background about where I live. So I live in Zimbabwe, a country in southern Africa. And to say the least, this country is not the best. Our economic situation is far from the best. I think we've had the highest inflation rates for I don't even know how many years. And yeah, the country isn't the most ideal environment to say the very least. But I feel like the country's filled with people with mediocre mindsets. And it's filled with ordinary people. And fair enough, most countries are filled with ordinary people, but I can only talk about where I've lived. And a common thing in Zim, and I assume it's common in many other countries, in fact probably all countries, is that people blame the conditions for their success. They'll be like, I can't do this because the economy is bad. I can't do this because of this. That is the most disgusting thing you can ever do. If you're a young man and you blame and you complain about your environment, you complain about your circumstances, then you stink. Like honestly, you stink. Get away. It is the most disgusting thing you can do to be like complaining and blaming like your circumstances on why you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Complaining to me and to many other people is quite literally the ugliest thing you can do. And I was going to give a disclaimer saying that I'm not saying that you shouldn't complain, because I thought it would be toxic to tell people that you shouldn't complain. But you know what? You should not complain. I don't care how toxic that sounds. You should never utter a complaint. Fair enough, you can express your discontent, but it shouldn't be in a way where you're complaining and you're blaming things for the way they are, saying, I couldn't do this because of that. No, you couldn't do it because you didn't want to. And if this sounds toxic, then I'll happily be toxic. I don't really care. Because what the truth is? To this day, I've never heard a high value person complain the way that unsuccessful people complain. Because what I've found with all the successful people that I've talked to, they always accept the conditions as they are. And then they find a way to move forward. They find a way to overcome the obstacle. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. Therefore, the obstacle is the way. So instead of complaining that there is an obstacle, accept that the obstacle is there and find a way to move over the obstacle. Find a way to make the impediment to action advance action. And I think that's why successful people are successful. Because instead of wasting their brain power, instead of wasting their emotional energy on complaining and saying, but life did this, life did that, they shut up and they find a way to move forward. They find a way to make life work for them. They find a way to succeed even in those harsh conditions. Because the common thing in Zim is like, the economy is bad. Or in most countries where the economy isn't good, like right now we're going through a recession, so many people are going to blame bad things on the recession. But there's one thing I have to say: in every bad economy there are winners, in every bad environment there are winners. So it shows that it's not the environment that is responsible for your results, it's the type of person that you are. Because successful people in like a bad economy, they don't have a different economy. You're all functioning in the same economy, it's just that they attack it in a different way. They stop complaining and they find ways to solve their problems. And besides the fact that complaining is a waste of time, complaining, it's a waste of energy and it puts you into a negative vibration. And what I mean by negative vibration can be like, let's say, a negative mood. So as soon as you complain, right, you're going to have a negative thought in your head. And what you need to know about thoughts is thoughts have a chain reaction nature. So one negative thought will lead to 10 other negative thoughts. One positive thought will lead to 10 other positive thoughts. I have an exercise for you if you don't believe this. Manually think a negative thought and observe the nature of the thoughts that follow it. You will notice that the thoughts that follow it are negative. But I want you to do the same thing, but with positive. Manually input a positive thought in your head and observe the thoughts that come after. And you'll be baffled to see that they're all positive. So what you do by complaining, you can never complain in a positive manner. When you're complaining, it is always negative. So once you complain, you're starting that negative chain reaction of bad thoughts. And as you have more negative thoughts, you reinforce your belief that the situation is bad. And creativity can never come from negativity. You can never be creative while thinking down on your situation. The funny thing is, once you've created this chain of negative thoughts, we all know that your thoughts determine how you feel, and how you feel determines how you act. So because of these negative thoughts, you're going to act in a negative way and you're going to become a negative person with suboptimal results. So do you know what I want you to do? I want you to stop complaining. Because the truth is, if you complain, you stink. The common complaints that I hear is life this, life that. This happened, this happened. Do you want to know the truth? The world doesn't care. Life doesn't care. And you complain that, life this, I was dealt bad cards, I was unlucky. But let me tell you something. There are people who are infinitely unluckier than you are at this moment. There are people who are dealt with cards so bad that you can't even imagine they exist. So honestly, shut up and accept the cards that you were dealt. I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel a negative emotion. I'm just saying that you should stop complaining. Because you can't change the cards that you were dealt. Complaining isn't going to make your situation better. It will actually only make it worse. Accept that life does not have some negative agenda against you and it's like you're unlucky. Life doesn't care about you. You're not special enough for like the world to be like, you know what, I'm going to hurt John and John is going to get the worst circumstances. No, life doesn't care about you. Life doesn't care about that successful person either. The difference between you and him is that he acknowledges that life doesn't care and he gets on. He puts his head down and he grinds, not complaining about stupid things that he can't control. So stop saying life this, life that. Stop saying, this, that. Fair enough, you're dealt bad cards. But there was someone out there that was dealt cards that are 50 times worse. So accept what you have and push. Put your head down and grind. I know this video may sound harsh. I may have attacked you. You may have felt as if I was attacking you. And if you felt as if I was attacking you, I was. Because you need to stop stinking. Stop complaining. It's the worst and the ugliest thing that you can do. 90% of the world complains. 90% of the world stinks. Don't be like the 90%. Be like the top 10% that doesn't complain and accepts things as they are. Because as Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Therefore, the obstacle is the way. So stop complaining that you have an obstacle. Instead, make the obstacle the way. Instead, accept what you have and push forward. Because that's the only thing a man can do. God didn't create men to complain and stink. He created them to overcome problems, to do what they were put on this earth to do. So stop being a stinky boy.